You better watch where you buy your chicken this December, Joshua's neighbor, Mama Catchy, announced as she burst into their small compound one hot afternoon. Her hands were planted firmly on her wide hips, sweat glistening on her round face. She wasn't smiling, and Mama Catchy always smiled even when she didn't mean it. Joshua, who was crouched by the tap scrubbing his school sandals, looked up at once, curiosity sparking in his eyes. What happened, Mama Catchy? She hissed and shook her head. Something is not right in this town, I tell you. There's one new woman selling chickens. Her prices are too good to be true. But those chickens, they don't behave like normal ones. Joshua frowned. What do you mean? I mean, she said, lowering her voice until it was almost a whisper, they don't make a single sound. No clucking, no flapping. They just stand there, quiet. Like they're dead but still standing. Joshua blinked at her, confused. Chickens that didn't make noise? That didn't make sense. Even the skinny ones at the market would squawk and flutter the moment anyone came close. Where's this place? He asked. Mama Catchy pointed toward the edge of town. That new poultry, Madam Felicia's farm. You know her, ABI? The woman who came back from the city. Everyone's rushing there because her chickens are big and cheap. Then what's the problem? Joshua asked. She sighed heavily, glancing around as if afraid someone might overhear. All I'm saying is things that come too cheap are never good. Tell your mama because I know she likes saving money. But me, I don't trust that woman. With that, she stormed off, still muttering about curses and chickens. Joshua watched her go, shaking his head. Everyone knew Mama Catchy loved gossip. She exaggerated stories like it was an Olympic sport. Chickens that didn't make noise? Probably another one of her tales. Still, something about it lingered in his mind. That evening, his mother, Igoma, returned from the market, balancing a heavy basket of vegetables on her head. Sweat darkened her blouse and her scarf was tied tight. Mama, you should have waited, Joshua said, hurrying to take the basket. I didn't want to disturb you, she said with a tired smile. You were washing your sandals. Joshua followed her to the kitchen as she began unpacking vegetables. Mama, have you heard about that new poultry farm? Madam Felicia's place. She nodded. Of course. They say her chickens are very fine, and cheap too. Why? He hesitated. Mama Catchy said something strange. She said the chickens don't make noise. Not one sound. Igoma stopped unpacking and looked at him. Then she laughed. Ah, you and that woman. Always believing gossip. How can chickens not make noise? My son, don't let people fill your head with nonsense. But Mama, what if? Enough, Joshua, she cut him off. Do you think I have money to waste? Tomorrow we're going there to buy our Christmas chicken. You'll see that there's nothing wrong with them. Joshua sighed. Once his mother made up her mind, nothing could change it. Still, a knot of worry tightened in his chest. The next morning they set out early. The narrow dusty road to Madam Felicia's farm wound past tall trees and quiet fields. The closer they got, the quieter everything became. Even the sounds of town, hawkers shouting, children laughing, faded away. When they reached the gate, Joshua stopped short. The farm was huge, rows upon rows of wooden cages stretching into the distance. At first glance, everything looked normal. But the silence was wrong. Mama, it's too quiet, Joshua murmured. Nonsense, she said, already walking toward a tall woman standing under a canopy, Madam Felicia herself. She was beautiful and graceful, dressed in a bright wrapper and head tie. Her smile was wide, but to Joshua, it felt too perfect. Good morning, my sister. Madam Felicia greeted. You've come for Christmas chicken, ABI? You came to the right place. Yes, oh, Igoma said, laughing. I heard your chickens are big and cheap. They are the best you'll find anywhere, Madam Felicia said proudly. Go on, choose the one you want. Joshua hesitated. From where he stood, he could see the chickens, fat, clean, their feathers gleaming. But none of them moved. None clucked. None even blinked. Joshua, his mother called sharply. Pick one. Reluctantly, he walked closer. His stomach tightened. When he peered into the nearest cage, he froze. All the chickens were staring at him, every single one. Their eyes were wide, unblinking, too human. Mama, he whispered, look at their eyes. Madam Felicia's smile flickered. Ah, my boy, they're only calm because they are well fed. You don't like quiet chickens? Joshua, stop embarrassing me, his mother snapped. Pick one quickly. He pointed at the largest one and a farmhand lifted it from the cage. The bird didn't move. It didn't struggle or flap. It just stared. Even as his mother paid and thanked Madam Felicia, Joshua couldn't take his eyes off the bird. The woman's smile seemed darker now, as if she knew a secret. That night, as his mother plucked and cleaned the chicken, Joshua couldn't stop watching. Even dead, something about it looked wrong, its skin too smooth, its eyes still open. "Mama, look at its eyes," he said softly. "Joshua," she barked. "Stop that nonsense. Dead chickens don't watch people." He swallowed hard. "But it feels like it's still looking at us." "Enough," she snapped. "If you don't want to eat, don't spoil my appetite." He said nothing more, but the uneasiness stayed. Later that night, he woke to a faint scratching sound by his window. At first he thought he was dreaming. Then it came again, soft, slow. Joshua crept to the window. The moonlight revealed something that made his blood run cold. The chicken. The same one his mother had cooked. It stood just outside, head tilted, empty eyes staring right at him. Joshua stumbled back, his throat dry. "How?" He ran to his mother's room, shaking her awake. "Mama. The chicken. It's outside." "What chicken?" she mumbled, irritated. "The one you cooked." She hissed. "You're dreaming, my son. Go back to bed before I flog you." When she followed him to his room, there was nothing there. The chicken was gone. But Joshua knew what he had seen. The next morning he told his best friend, Obinna. "You saw the cooked chicken outside your window?" Obinna asked, eyes wide. "Yes. It was staring at me." Obinna frowned. "Maybe you were dreaming." "I wasn't," Joshua insisted. "Something is wrong and I'm going back to that farm." "Are you crazy?" Obinna groaned. "If that woman catches us, I need to know," Joshua said. With great reluctance, Obinna agreed. The farm was just as quiet as before. The chickens stood stiff and lifeless. When the boys peered into the cages, their hearts raced, the eyes still wide, still unblinking. "Joshua," Obinna whispered, "they're not even breathing." "I told you," Joshua said grimly. "We need to see what's inside that house." They crept to the farmhouse and pushed open the creaking door. Inside it smelled of dust and age. Papers were scattered across a table. Obinna picked one up. "It's a list," he whispered. "Names and numbers beside them." Joshua picked up another sheet. This one had a strange symbol, a circle with an eye in the middle. "What is this?" Obinna breathed. Before Joshua could answer, they heard footsteps. They hid behind a cabinet as Madam Felicia entered, muttering to herself. Through the crack, Joshua saw her lips moving. He caught a few words, "Soon, very soon." When she finally left, they ran all the way home. The next day, terrible news spread. Mama Ngozi's entire family had fallen sick after eating chicken from Madam Felicia's farm. Joshua's stomach twisted. "It's happening," he told Obinna. They decided to take the papers to Pastor Chitty, the town pastor. When the pastor saw the strange symbol, his expression darkened. "Where did you get these?" "From her farmhouse," Joshua said. "People are getting sick, Pastor. Please, you have to help." Pastor Chitty nodded slowly. "Thank you for telling me. Go home. I will look into this myself." But that night, Joshua couldn't sleep. The town was silent again, too silent. And deep inside he knew the worst was still coming. By morning, chaos had broken out. Their neighbor Mama Ngozi stood outside Joshua's compound, shouting. "Your Madam Felicia is evil," she cried. "Her chickens are cursed. My children are dying." Joshua's mother folded her arms. "Stop this nonsense. Chickens are chickens." "Mama, she's right," Joshua shouted. "I told you." "Enough," she snapped. "Go inside." But the fear in Mama Ngozi's eyes stayed with him long after she left. That evening, Joshua and Obinna went back to see Pastor Chitty. He was sitting under a tree reading his Bible. "Pastor," Joshua began, "did you find anything?" The pastor sighed. "Boys, what you did was dangerous. Those papers are strange indeed, but we can't accuse Madam Felicia without proof." "But people are dying," Joshua protested. "God will reveal the truth in his time," Pastor Chitty said firmly. "Do not go near that farm again." Joshua looked down, frustration tightening in his chest. Because deep down he knew, time was running out. Joshua jumped to his feet, his face burning with frustration. "Pastor, people are already getting sick. What if something worse happens? You have to do something now." "Joshua, calm down," Pastor Chitty said softly, raising a hand. "You're just a boy. Leave this matter to the adults." Joshua clenched his fists, fighting the urge to scream. Obinna tugged at his arm and whispered, "Let's go, Joshua. He won't listen to us." Joshua turned to Pastor Chitty one last time. "If something bad happens, Pastor, Don't say we didn't warn you. The pastor's eyes softened with pity. Go home, Joshua. Stay out of trouble. Their walk back was silent. Obina kept glancing at him, but Joshua said nothing. His thoughts spun wildly, his heart heavy. No one believed him, not his mother, not the pastor. What do we do now? Obina finally asked. Joshua stopped walking. We go back to the farm. Tonight. Obina's eyes widened. Tonight? Are you mad? I'm not mad, Joshua said firmly. If no one will listen, we'll find proof they can't ignore. Joshua, no. Madam Felicia might catch us, or worse. What if something happens to us? Joshua grabbed his friend's arm, his voice low and urgent. Obina, people are falling sick. What if someone dies? We can't just sit here. We have to stop her. Obina stared at him for a long moment, then sighed. Fine. But if we get caught, I'll never forgive you. That night, the boys met near the edge of town, each holding a small lantern and a stick. The road to Madam Felicia's farm seemed darker than ever, and every sound made Obina jump. I still don't know why I agreed to this, he whispered. If anything strange happens, we run, no arguments. Okay, Joshua muttered, eyes fixed ahead. But we need to be brave just a little longer. The silence hit them like a wall when they reached the farm. The cages were still there, the chickens still standing, motionless, staring. Their lanterns cast long, uneasy shadows across the ground. Joshua pointed toward the farmhouse. We'll check inside again. Maybe we missed something. Obina groaned. This is how people die in horror films. Stop talking and follow me. They crept toward the farmhouse, each creak of the wooden boards echoing like footsteps. Joshua pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air felt colder this time, thick, stale, and heavy. He picked up one of the strange papers from the table. Look, Obina. The symbols are still here. Joshua, Obina whispered, his voice trembling, we need to leave now. Before Joshua could reply, a faint scratching sound echoed through the room. They froze. Did you hear that? Joshua whispered. Yes, Obina breathed. Let's go, Joshua. Please. The scratching grew louder, coming from beneath the floorboards. Joshua, I'm begging you, let's go, Obina said, grabbing his arm. Then, slam. The door shut itself. Their lanterns flickered violently. The scratching stopped. The room went silent, except for their quick, uneven breaths. Who's there? Joshua called, voice shaking. No answer. Then, from the shadows, a figure stepped forward, Madam Felicia. Her face looked different in the dim light, harder, sharper. Her smile wasn't warm anymore. It was cold and cruel. Well, she hissed softly. What are you two doing here? Joshua couldn't move. Obina gripped his arm tightly. We were just spying? Madam Felicia finished for him, her smile widening. You think you understand what's happening here? She stepped closer, her shadow stretching across the floor. You shouldn't be here. This is not for your eyes. Joshua forced himself to speak. What are you doing with those chickens? Why are people getting sick? Madame Felicia tilted her head slightly, almost amused. Some things are not meant to be known, boy. You should have stayed away. The air felt thick, pressing down on them like invisible hands. Joshua looked at Obina, whose face was pale with fear. Run along now, Madame Felicia whispered, her voice dripping with menace. Before it's too late. They didn't wait to be told twice. The boys bolted out of the farmhouse and didn't stop running until they reached the road. When they finally collapsed, gasping for breath, Obina whispered, What did we just see? Joshua couldn't answer. Deep down he knew they had crossed a line. And whatever Madame Felicia was hiding, it wasn't over. That night, Joshua couldn't sleep. He lay staring at the ceiling, her voice echoing in his head. Some things are not meant to be known. The way she had appeared in that room, like she had been waiting, made his skin crawl. The next morning his mother was furious. Pots clanged as she cooked, muttering under her breath. Joshua, she barked. Did you and that Obina go to Madame Felicia's farm yesterday? He froze. Mama, what are you talking about? Don't lie to me, she snapped. Someone saw you two running like mad boys near that woman's farm. Did I not warn you to stay away from trouble? Joshua hesitated. If he told her the truth, she wouldn't believe him. If he lied, she'd still find out. We just wanted to see something, Mama, he mumbled. Chinique me, she cried, dropping her spoon. You will not kill me before my time. What were you looking for, eh? Do you think I have energy to beg people for forgiveness because of your foolishness? Mama, listen to me, Joshua said desperately. Madame Felicia's chickens aren't normal. People are getting sick because of her. Enough, she shouted. Chickens are chickens. Madam Felicia is not a devil. Keep spreading that nonsense again and I will flog the truth into your brain. Joshua clenched his fists and stormed out, slamming the door. He found Obina sitting outside later that afternoon, kicking a stone. Your mama shouted too? Obina asked. Joshua nodded. She thinks I'm making it all up. Nobody believes us. Same with mine, Obina sighed. I told her what we saw, she said I was talking rubbish. Joshua looked at him, jaw set. Then we go back. Obina's eyes widened. Go back? Have you lost your mind? She saw us, Joshua. She knows we were there. I know, Joshua said quietly. But we didn't find everything. You heard the scratching? It came from under the floor. Something's down there. That's why people are sick. No way, Obina said, shaking his head. Madam Felicia isn't normal. If she's doing something evil, let the adults handle it. The adults aren't doing anything. Joshua snapped. Pastor Chitty won't act, my mother won't listen. If we don't stop her, who will? Obina stared at him for a long time, then groaned. You'll be the death of me, Joshua. Joshua smiled faintly. That's why you're my friend. Fine, Obina muttered. But if we see anything weird, we're running. Deal? Deal. That night, the boys met again under a cloudy moon. The path to the farm felt colder than before. If something grabs me, I swear I'm haunting you, Obina muttered. Relax, Joshua whispered. We'll check what's under the floor and leave. The chickens were still standing, lifeless, their glassy eyes glinting in the lantern light. They're still not moving, Obina whispered. Let's hurry. They crept to the farmhouse. The boards groaned as Joshua pushed the door open. The air was icy stale. Let's check the floor, Joshua said. They knelt by the center of the room. Joshua pointed to a loose board. Help me lift this. Obina hesitated, then helped him pry it open. A foul smell rose from the gap, rotting, damp, and old. What is that? Obina gagged. I don't know, Joshua said, holding the lantern. But we're finding out. Before Obina could stop him, Joshua dropped down into the darkness. Joshua, wait. Obina hissed, scrambling after him. The narrow tunnel stretched beneath the farmhouse, the walls marked with strange symbols glowing faintly in the lantern's light. Joshua, let's go back, Obina whispered. This place is evil. Just a bit further, Joshua murmured. A sound drifted toward them, soft, rhythmic chanting. Obina froze. Do you hear that? Yes, Joshua said, heart pounding. They followed the sound until the tunnel opened into a small underground room lit by candles. In the center stood a large wooden cage filled with chickens. Bigger, darker, their eyes glowing faintly red. Standing beside the cage, chanting in a low, eerie voice, was Madam Felicia. Obina gasped. The chanting stopped. Madam Felicia turned slowly, her face calm but her eyes blazing. Well, she said softly. You two again. Joshua couldn't move. I warned you to stay away, she said, stepping closer. You have no idea what you're interfering with. What are you doing? Joshua demanded, his voice trembling. You're making people sick. She smiled coldly. You wouldn't understand. Some knowledge comes with a price. Suddenly, the chickens in the cage began flapping violently, their eyes burning red. The candles flickered and the air grew freezing cold. Joshua! Obina screamed. Let's go. They turned and ran, the sound of her chanting chasing them through the tunnel. When they burst into the night, they didn't stop running until they reached the road, gasping and trembling. Joshua, Obina panted, what did we just see? I don't know, Joshua whispered. But we have to tell everyone. Who will believe us? Obina asked. Joshua had no answer. By morning, the boys ran to Mama Catchy's house. Mama Catchy, Joshua shouted, banging on her door. Please listen. Madam Felicia's farm is cursed. We saw it. She's doing something underground. The woman stared at him, tying her scarf. Joshua, are you serious? If you don't believe us, come and see, he begged. If we're lying, call us fools, but if we're right, she hesitated, then nodded. I'll come. Within an hour, word had spread. Villagers gathered, men, women, and children, following the boys to the farm. Joshua's heart pounded as he led them to the farmhouse. He pulled open the floorboards, revealing the tunnel. Gasps filled the room. They climbed down together. But when they reached the underground chamber, the cage was gone. The symbols still glowed faintly on the walls. What is this? Someone whispered. A cold wind swept through the room. Then, her voice. I warned you. Madam Felicia appeared in the doorway, her eyes glowing red. You shouldn't have come here. The candles went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Screams erupted. Someone shouted, "Light! Light!" Joshua struck a match. The small flame flickered weakly, revealing terrified faces. But Madam Felicia was gone. Only the symbols remained, pulsing faintly before fading away. She vanished, someone whispered. This is not over, Joshua said quietly. She'll come back. That afternoon, Pastor Chitty gathered the townspeople. Sweat glistened on his brow as he raised his Bible. My people, he cried, evil has taken root among us, but it will not win. Tonight we destroy Madam Felicia's farm. We will burn it to ashes. The crowd roared in agreement. By evening they stood at the edge of the silent farm. Men poured kerosene across the cages and farmhouse while women prayed. The air grew cold. Then came the chanting. Joshua froze. It's her, he whispered. From the edge of the trees, Madam Felicia appeared, her wrapper swirling in the wind, her eyes burning red. Do you think you can stop me? She hissed. Pastor Chitty stepped forward. Your evil ends tonight. She laughed, a sound that made the villagers shudder. You think your fire can undo what has already begun? The men struck their matches. Flames roared to life, spreading fast. Smoke rose, thick and black. Madam Felicia's laughter turned into a scream of rage. You will regret this. All of you. The wind howled, but the fire burned hotter, swallowing the farmhouse whole. Then, with a final hiss, Madam Felicia vanished into the smoke. When the fire died, the farm was gone, reduced to ash. The villagers stood in silence, the weight finally lifting from their hearts. It is done, Pastor Chitty said. The evil is gone. But Joshua wasn't so sure. As he and Obina turned to leave, he glanced back at the trees. For just a moment he saw a shadow move, tall, still watching. He blinked. It was gone. But deep inside he knew. Madam Felicia wasn't finished. She was waiting. And one day she would return. May God's protection be with us and our family. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more. God bless.